I have no interest in being happy. I wake up and say, how can I be proud of myself? What can I achieve that makes me proud of myself? How can I do things that make other people respect me and are proud of me? How do I have a day which I complete when I come home? The woman who's in my house says, wow, there's no man like you. How do I live a life so my children look at me and go, Dad's a superhero? How do I make my mother call me and say, I couldn't possibly be more proud of you? I choose proud. I don't choose happy. So if you were to say to me, this cup of juice will make you happy, I'd say, I don't want it. What do I want to be happy for?
Damn.
I want to be proud of myself.
That's some real shit, bro.
So what do you do to make you, what do you do to make you proud of yourself? And what do you do to make others proud of you? I have duties to complete. I have to live the exact same life regardless of how I feel. So for me, happiness is not a good indicator on how life should be lived. You shouldn't wake up and say, how happy am I today? How does that affect how I act? That's not how I operate. I wake up and say, what must be done? What will allow me to be proud of myself? What will allow me to achieve? And those things will be done regardless of how I feel. And that's how the most successful people on earth all operate. The most successful people on earth don't only do things because they feel happy about doing them. The whole world doesn't give a fuck if men are happy or not. Nobody cares about men being happy. We talk about women being happy. We want children to be happy. If you look at a full-grown man on Christmas morning, he's smiling because his wife is smiling. He's smiling because his children are smiling. Nobody even buys him anything. What do they buy the dad? Socks? Nobody cares about men being happy. So why do you as a man care about you being happy? That's how you're going to fall into these traps. I'm a very content person. I live a fantastic life. I'm not miserable or depressed. I'm not sad ever. But I don't wake up and go, I want to be happy today. No, sir. I wake up and say, okay, things must be done. And those things will be completed regardless of how I feel. Regardless of how I feel. You can lock me in a dungeon for an unknown amount of time in Romania, and I will still complete as many push-ups as I can possibly do in the dark by myself. What else am I going to do? Sit there and be sad? Happy or sad? The push-ups must be done. It's called duty. It's called honor. It's called pride. If you had these things, you would never do dumb shit in the first place. So I'm asking you why you don't have them. You could be a genuine force for good in the world. And you know what's funny? The funniest thing, the most ironic thing about all of this is that if you don't prioritize happiness and you prioritize feeling proud of yourself, you end up happy by extension. I'm happy because I'm proud of myself because I have a fucking fantastic life and mansions and supercars and money, most famous man in the world, thousands of love letters a week from beautiful women, street credit in every single fucking city on earth. Of course I'm happy, but I didn't ever choose to try and be happy. If I would have chosen to try and be happy, I would have never ended up happy. If you are struggling with the motivation to be a winner, then stay a fucking loser. No problem. Stay a loser. Don't care. Because in my circle, there's no losers around me. Your energy is disgusting. I find it revolting. I don't like weakness around me, even near me. And sometimes when you're true to yourself, it may seem like the Matrix is trying to convince you that if you're a weak little cuck and you're a feminist and you're a little coward, that women will like you more. No, women respect men who stick by their principles and their beliefs. And the principles and beliefs of a man are always to do what he is supposed to do, regardless of how he feels. You must train when you don't feel like training. You must protect when you don't feel like protecting. You must be a good man. And when you're actually a truly good man and a high value man, this is something I absolutely realized in jail. And I said to you, I said, Tristan, I have no problem suffering if the people I love are not suffering. My children are taken care of. The women I love are taken care of. My mother is taken care of. Everybody around me is fine. Even if they've removed me from my life and locked me in a jail cell, everybody I love is taken care of and is protected and is living good. I must suffer because I am a man. I am the head of my empire. I'm the head of the clan. Of course I will suffer, but the people I love are not suffering. This is what God has bestowed upon important men since the beginning of time.
Not just important men. All men. The men in the Titanic as the boat was going down, about to be sucked into the icy cold water, some of the last thoughts in those men's head, I know, was at least I saw my daughter and my wife get on that boat.
Absolutely.
I'm happy to plunge into this ice cold water because there they are on that boat, away from danger. Everyone we love and everyone in the world who we care about was taken care of. And I said, Andrew, would you rather us both be at liberty, but someone else in our life suffer? Mom suffer? Our kids suffer? The mothers of our children suffer? No. I'm glad it was me. I'm glad I was the one who was suffering and everyone else was okay, because that's what being a man means.
When you're a man, absolutely you're right. It is our job to suffer so the people around us do not suffer. And that's why if you're a man and you're waking up every day and you're not trying your very best to be important or upgrade yourself or upgrade your character, or you're lacking motivation, then you have a serious problem, because it is your job to be capable of dealing with the insurmountable pressure which God is going to put upon you, so that when you suffer, everyone around you does well. Our lives are set up that even if they throw us in a dungeon today, everybody we love will be okay forever. And that is what's most important. That's the most important thing.
That's success.
Would your wife have a roof over her head? Would your children eat? Would your family be okay? Think about these things. This is what you're working for. You're not working to make money so you can buy a Lamborghini. You're working to make money, and you're thinking outside the box, and you're becoming your best version of yourself, so all the people around you will always be okay no matter what happens. It is your job as a man to suffer. And we did our job fantastically, absolutely as we should.
We always will.
And we always will. And everybody around us was okay. And that is extremely comforting in times of hardship, because we're built for suffering. We were absolutely not built for suffering. No matter how close I came to crying inside of that jail cell, I knew all the people around me were safe and all the people around me could eat. And that's all I cared about. When I would call other people and they were asking me how I was, I'd say, we don't want to talk about me. How are you? Are you okay? I'm in a jail cell in Romania, making sure that everyone I love is okay. I don't need them to sit and worry about me. I worry about them. That is what a man does. And you must prepare and set up your life for that. You must be prepared to be plucked from life and understand that everybody around you who once relied on you will still be relying on you, even when you sit in that jail cell. It's still up to you. You are still the man of the household. Only you. And if you don't pay the bills, who's going to do it? Your wife's just going to what? Go get a job, get like 5 jobs and raise your kids? How's she going to do that? You must be prepared for these things. That is what you're working for. So if you wake up every day as a man and you say, I don't have motivation to become strong, I don't want to work hard and get rich, I don't want to try and become financially free, what you're saying is that the second you disappear, everyone who loves you and respected you and relied on you is going to starve. How can you live that way as a man? Absolutely not, really unacceptable. I train every single day, and it doesn't matter how I feel. So in fact, I would actually argue that the number one way to deal with most of life's problems is always the same thing. You were saying that people deal with things in many different ways. That is true. But in my experience of life, there's only one way to deal with anything. It doesn't matter if you're heartbroken. It doesn't matter if you're sad. It doesn't matter if your bank balance is low. It doesn't matter if you lose a family member. It doesn't matter what it is. The answer to everything is always the same. Hard work. Work harder. The worse things are, the harder I will work. Jail changed me, and I had some trouble in there. I never missed a single day's training. Since I've left jail, I can't sleep. I have nightmares. I've been training harder than I've ever trained. I put it all over Twitter. I'm doing 6-7 hour days. I could sit around and complain about being tired. I could sit around and be a bitch. I could sit around and cry. Or I could just work harder than I've ever worked. It's fantastic that I can't sleep. It's all the time I need. So I can train endlessly. So my point is, the answer is always hard work. What else is my answer going to be? I'm struggling with something. I'm going to work less. Does that make sense to you? How's that going to fix anything? Now, as I decipher the puzzle, because that's what life is, it's a puzzle, and as I decipher the lesson that has been bestowed upon me by God, and as I repair my mentality and become a more content individual, or perhaps a more stable individual like I was before, at least in the meantime, I've done a whole bunch of work. At least I've gotten bigger, stronger, faster, richer. What else am I going to do? Sit around and mope like a dummy? The answer is always hard work. Anyone who's watching this, no matter what problem you're facing in your life, there's only one answer: work. Work harder. It's actually funny, and I've said this before, so I'm going to say it again. You can also take the antidote before the poison. If you're always working as hard as possible, it's actually very difficult for bad things to actually catch up with you. You can take the antidote before the poison. Most people don't even work very hard. You think you work hard, you could work a lot harder. Hard work's always the answer, my friend. So there's a lot of people who are chasing the familiar feeling, and that familiar feeling can be extremely destructive. And you know what I would say is the most destructive feeling to be obsessed with trying to obtain? Happiness. Constantly, as a man, trying to chase happiness as the most destructive thing you can do for your life. Because you can't delay gratification. You can't do anything which is particularly difficult. And the only thing that's going to make you happy quick is cheap happiness. Cheap and easy. Booze, cake, drugs, dumb shit. Real happiness, real contentment, and pride takes a long time to build. You have to be able to be unhappy to have a greater reward at the end.